Good evening, everyone. It is February 23rd, 2026. This is the Buckeye Zone. This is Knoxville Nate and my man EJ Underwood, the Buckeye legend, coming to you live. EJ, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good, brother. How you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing all right. Decent start to the week for me. And now we're going to get to talk a little football, obviously, as we do, talking college football, talking Buckeyes, and tonight we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the NCAA right here in my town that I live in, Knoxville. They just had a hearing and found that their quarterback over here at Tennessee, Joey Aguilar, is going to be ineligible for the 2026 season. However, he's not the only one that's feeling the wrath of the NCAA, as Indiana might be getting a little something going on with it too. We got our third member of the Buckeye Zone, Mr. Sean Schrock, joining us right now. Sean, how are you, buddy?
Hey, great. Sorry, guys. Had a little had to reset the internet a couple times.
That's all
We're getting
right.
some bad weather up here in Ohio, so
Yeah,
glad to be
man.
with you guys tonight.
Hey, we're glad to have you. And it's not the only place, man. It was 70 degrees over here 2 days ago, and now it's 19. So I had to put the shorts back away for a couple more days, but it's all good. We're dealing with it. But we were just talking a little bit about the Indiana Hoosiers, who just come off their first ever, relevant season in college football, and they won the national championship, and now they may have to give it back. Apparently, as Lewis Moore, their 6-year defensive back, who was fighting sued the NCAA for his eligibility for the 2025 season. Never really won, but was granted an injunction so that he can play. And he ended up playing the entire season. The problem is, after the year was over and Indiana won the national championship, I guess I don't know if his lawyers just didn't know what they were doing or they just figured it didn't matter, but they filed a notice of non-suit, which was granted, and the order of non-suit was filed 8 days later, which basically means now the NCAA can appeal his case and can ask for a rule of restitution and potentially go after Indiana and take away their wins. They can, deem him as an ineligible player, and they can, take away all of his stats, and they can, pretty much do whatever they want. And it's kind of a weird situation. Sean, I'll ask you first. What did you think when you heard about all this coming from the NCAA and Indiana's little carbuffle that they've got going on?
Well, it kind of sounds like a shakedown. The, the insider we got here, Mr. Buck Vader, said he made a couple phone calls, and one of the guys he talked to, I guess the NCAA has already given Indiana a number that they want to make this all go away. Sounds like they're just kind of bullying them to try to, kind of like a shakedown, trying to get some money out of them. I mean, how much did Michigan give them? Was it 25 million or some kind of fine they gave them? So it sounds like, NCAA is just trying to try to shake them down a little bit. But whoever told that kid to file that or drop his injunction or whatever needs to be smacked, because man, that just gave him an opportunity to go after him now. So hopefully, they don't lose their championship, because I mean, honestly, they don't deserve to. If they let Michigan skate with what they did, now they're going to come after Indiana and try to hammer them. I mean, it's ridiculous, guys.
Yeah, I agree. And EJ, obviously, Lewis Moore was a good player, but he wasn't the reason that they won the championship. But still, playing an ineligible player can come back and cause some beef. What did you think when you heard about all this, EJ? And what I guess what's your thoughts on all this? Guys fighting for extra eligibility, and do you think that his thing is what a number of players are dealing with right now with playing in junior college? Do you think those years should count against the guy's eligibility or no?
Well, you got to think like the major thing that messed up like football in general was COVID. So when COVID happened, a lot of kids got lost, because everything just pretty much shut down. So like unless you was like a star key player, you know what I mean? Like you wasn't forgotten. But if you were somebody who didn't get that chance and have your football like career get derailed, like college is not recruiting like that, man, like people got lost in the sauce. So um if this was like 10 years ago, I would feel differently, but you gotta give some leeway to these kids in the situation in the world that's going around. So that's nobody's fault right there. But as far as him getting 6 years, man, like I don't, bro, I feel like if you need a 6 year, like that's a problem, period. Unless it was like barring injuries every place you went
Yeah.
and you didn't get an opportunity to like really showcase who you are. So I totally get that as a competitive side, right? But no, 6 years that's it's too long. So honestly, I think in the future there needs to be some type of rule for how many years these kids now can stay in school because this is kind of getting ridiculous. Hearing like 6, 7, 8, 9 years in like some cases, but that's a real thing that's been going on. It's kind of ridiculous. So like, yeah, I think it definitely is a shakedown. Hey, Indiana, pay us or else. And when you have that type of stuff from the NCAA, that's kind of ridiculous. It's going to get to the point where the NCAA, I feel like, is going to get pushed out in the future. That's just my opinion. Like if you really think about it, all the schools really need to do is like come together, say, "Hey, we're going to form these four conferences." You know what I'm saying? And this is what it is, and we're going to be competing at for the what's the name of the championship trophy that they're competing the playoffs. So it's the playoff trophy, right?
Yep.
So you see what I'm saying? That's not NCAA
No.
playoff trophy,
No.
So I think that's what they need to do is look into that and come together, ban and like push them out because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think eventually, the Big Ten, the SEC, and maybe, the ACC and the Big 12 or something will join up and they'll just form, one big master conference and, play it out like that. I don't think they really need the NCAA anymore. I think the NCAA is just causing more issues. What are they really doing? Are they governing this? Are they are they creating rules? Are they enforcing the rules? Not really. And based on what I've heard about this Lewis Moore situation, they're really all they really want to do is take this to the appellate court so that they can have a win, and that will make their rules stick. They'll have a case to look at that was ruled on upon the appellate court judges, and a decision that comes up so that they can say, hey, these are the rules. You can only play this amount of years or whatever. This kid chose to go to junior college. Nobody forced him to go there. He chose to go there, and that ate up some of his eligibility. And so it's my feeling that he shouldn't have been allowed to play. And these guys, there has to be a length of time. You can't play in college football forever. It's not a professional league, at least not at this point. So I kind of feel like that they need this. They need to go and rule on this, and there needs to be a rule. This is what we've been talking about for weeks, right? There needs to be rules, and there needs to be a
Mhm.
governing body that can enforce these rules, or else
Absolutely.
we're going to keep doing this. But it's just kind of crazy to me that we have to keep suing the NCAA on every issue. Sean, surely you're tired of seeing court cases going on with the
It's,
with the NCAA, right?
it's ridiculous, man. It's like every other. I mean, the problem is they don't have enough backbone to enforce their rules. I mean, honestly, what should happen is the great idea you had was the Power Four. They should just break away for football. Football should be its own identity and let the NCAA, govern all the other sports. I mean, because the NCAA's big thing is the basketball tournament. So let them still do the basketball tournament. Let them have something to do with baseball and all these other, non-revenue sports. And, let them do that. The thing is, Nate and EJ is they got so butt hurt because they did not want any athlete to get NIL, and as soon as they lost that, they just basically turned their backs and walked away. I mean, instead of working with the schools and form some guardrails here, and so everything could be governed, they walked away from it. And I think they're purposely trying to let the system burn just to say, "See, we told you."
Yeah, it's all comes back to them fighting this all the way to the end instead of just coming to some sort of agreement. They fought it, they fought it, fought it, they lost, and now instead of them being able to kind of guide this process and handle the transition, it's just kind of a wild west situation and a free for all. So I guess EJ, my question to you is, what's the answer here? I mean, do you think breaking apart and having like a commissioner, kind of govern college football, and maybe having a couple, maybe a board of people that are athletic directors from the conferences that are part of this? What do you think the answer is as far as who is going to govern college football and enforce the rules?
I think we lost EJ there, Nate.
Is he gone?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
he's off the screen down there. I
Then
think.
he can't answer it. I guess I'll ask you.
Uh, hey man, I agree. There should be, they should have a commissioner, someone to have final say, someone to be able to, lay the law down and enforce the rules, because the NCAA is just not doing it. I mean, look at what they let Michigan get away with. Michigan played an ineligible player. Nothing happened there. It's just, oh, we'll give you $25 million. Thank you. Now it just seems like that's what they're trying to do with Indiana. Just give us a number, you know, fine, whatever you want to call it, and we'll let you keep your trophy. If not, we're going to fight you guys if you don't want to pay our, what we want. So
Yeah, it seems like they need money to to fight their legal battles. They're paying so much money for attorneys fees and court costs and things like that. It seems like now the only punishment they're doling out is cash fines, which kind of seems to be. But it should be interesting to see how this plays out. And I'm not hearing a whole lot of chatter from Indiana fans at this point. I think they're kind of hoping this all goes away, but I don't think it's going to, because, as I mentioned earlier, they really want this to go to the appellate court so that they can get a judge to make an opinion on it, and then they can have some sort of ruling to dictate how many years these guys can play, because they keep getting a different lawsuit every day on somebody wanting to play and other players not wanting to play. So, how many years, Sean, do you think that should be allowed to play? Should junior college count or no?
I think it's hard to say with the junior college. The thing that EJ made a good point earlier, because when COVID happened, they gave everybody an extra year of eligibility. So everybody that was basically in there got an extra year of eligibility. So, but that should be good. You'd think that would be done by now. If I see someone gets hurt, it's like the first game of the year and they blow their knee out and didn't really get to participate, I think, giving them that extra year should be okay. But honestly, I think they should go five. You get 5 years, but you got 4 years to play.
Yeah,
So if you got a red shirt, 1 year you red shirt. But I mean, that's the way I would look at it. I
yeah.
mean,
And now obviously they've changed the redshirt rules. EJ, back when you played, I believe it was 4 games. If you played more than four, that counted. Now they've changed it to 9. What did you think when you heard about that? And it kind of seems ridiculous to me. And you played 9 games. That seems like a full season to me. What do you think?
I absolutely agree, and sorry for the internet problems, but I'm back up and running.
yeah,
Honestly, it's ridiculous because that is definitely a full season right there. What you is actually to like the coach's advantage because he's like, hey, I could play this guy 9 games and then redshirt him, and then boom, I got extra year with him. So it's kind of crazy. This is different. This is different type of football than what I'm used to. So just understanding that you just gotta just laugh it off sometimes. But no, whatever you get, whatever you could get your advantage in as a coach. Hell, you're loving that rule, like for sure. Because now I get to develop kids, and then all right, um, red shirt them, and then bring other kids in. NIL, you got free agents every year,
Yeah.
so they're winning. That's
Yeah,
how I look at it. It's kind of crazy.
no
You
doubt.
know,
And this should help a little bit because you can play guys now and not worry, about burning the red shirt. We've seen this before where they're trying to keep guys off the field so that they don't lose, an entire year of eligibility. Well, now you can play guys in certain situations or certain games. And with a 9-game red shirt rule, you don't have to really worry about it, with having to worry about injuries and things like that because you're only playing what 12, 13, 14, 15 games at the most, and you can play somebody almost half the season. It seems to me like now it might be a little bit easier. Sean, what do you think to keep guys around a little bit because you can get them on the field a little bit more?
correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that they can play in the bowl game and it doesn't count.
That, you know what? I was just going to say that. Like when he was saying that, like there's not a rule about when you could play these kids. You could play them at any point in the season, just as long as you don't go over 9. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's a great like loophole for the coaches. Go ahead, Sean.
And the thing is, I mean, honestly, if someone's worth their weight in salt, I mean, after 3 years, I mean, if they're really good, they're going to be gone. As soon
Yeah.
as they're eligible, they're going to be gone. I mean, some of them guys might stick around, but very rarely do you see someone sticking around for a senior year anymore. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
So, but these guys that are getting 7 years, 8 years, that's ridiculous, man. I could see 5 years, maybe even stretch it out to maybe 6 years of eligibility if someone got hurt, a serious injury where they weren't able to compete for 2 years and not be able to play at all. But these guys are, they're trying to take advantage of the system, and honestly, it's just getting ridiculous, and no one's enforcing it.
No, it's a joke, man. You should get 5 years to play four, and that needs to be a rule that is locked in my opinion. I don't care if you go to junior college. I don't care, if you play at a Division II school. It shouldn't really matter, especially with the redshirt rule. They're giving you all kinds of ways around it, in today's college football. So I think some of these kids that you abuse it and have used, the COVID year and have been playing college football for 9 years. I read yesterday, Stetson Bennett played for Georgia, for 7 seasons basically, and still didn't graduate. And I'm like, how does this guy go to Georgia
Oh
for
my
a
God.
decade and not even get a degree, man? EJ, tell me, are any of these guys going to class, man?
Well, honestly, like you make a great point. These kids are staying in school for more than 5 years. That's crazy. You're supposed to have 2 degrees if you're in there for that long. Like, come on now. No, honestly, I don't know what to make of that, and I don't want to start like pointing because like every region of the country is different. Um, hell, you got for example in Texas, they got 707s. Well, no, not even 707. They got spring football in high school
Yeah.
like colleges do, so when you have that to your advantage, that's kind of crazy. Makes you want to kind of move your kid to Texas just because, like, if you really are into that football lifestyle, I would want my kid being somewhere where there is football 24/7 if that's what they want to do,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
um but me personally, I think that's too much,
yeah,
especially for a high school kid, because at the end of the day, they're still kids, right?
yeah,
So, Ohio getting the NIL rule going on is going to be very interesting seeing going forward how these kids are, what kind of values they have coming forward, because when people are throwing money to you and you never had it and it has a chance to change your family, man, you got to start making some real big boy decisions, so big boy or big girl, because women are getting paid too.
Yeah.
So which is a beautiful thing, and I'm very proud of that, like, because I do believe in equality for sure all the way around.
You
Yeah.
know, some of these kids though, I feel bad. I mean, they're specialized in one sport, but back when we were younger, I mean, back in our day when the dinosaurs roamed, we played three sports. We played basketball. We played. There wasn't so much specializing. Now kids, it's like kids are specializing in one sport because they got these other like AAU traveling leagues that we didn't have them. I mean, I didn't have them when I was in school. So I mean, we would go. Football would be over, then you go to basketball, then you go to track or baseball, and now these kids are just doing one thing year round. I think it's going to endanger some of these kids to get burned out.
Yeah.
You're right,
No,
EJ.
no, there's pluses and minuses to it. I mean, positive. Some of these kids are ready to play a lot earlier than they used to be, especially quarterbacks. Some of these freshman kids are coming in and playing right away because they played 2, 3, 4 years of high school. They played 7-on-7. They worked out with a college quarterback trainer, and they go to all these camps. The Elite 11 and the university camps, and so they're ready to play. But yeah, a lot of times diversification can help you as well. Work on your skills. Some of these guys play basketball and it helps with their footwork, or some of these linemen wrestle and it helps with their core strength and stuff like that. But I just feel bad for some of the kids, that are missing out on getting to play different sports.
Mm-hmm.
EJ, did you play multiple sports when you were in high school? And don't you feel like, if some of these kids aren't getting to do that they're kind of missing out?
Well, when we were coming up, it was way different, right? Um, Honestly, playing sports, like ever since I seen it on TV, I was always wanting to do it. So seeing Bo Jackson do his thing in both football and baseball, seeing Dion do his thing in both football and baseball, Charlie Ward, was people don't give him credit of what kind of athlete he was. Now this, like, when I watched him like winning a national championship,
Yeah.
and he was the Heisman Trophy winner, I had no idea when he got drafted into like the NBA. There's oh yeah, for Knicks draft Charlie Ward. I was so confused because I'm still young, so I didn't know like he was playing basketball like that. You know what I mean? Because that's what I was doing. So when like he went in basketball, that gave me like hope. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I could do that, because I definitely basketball is like my first love for sure. But football is right there too, like I'm able to play basketball like now because I'm older. Football, like oh my goodness, I might play good for a second, but that next week or 2 weeks or a month after that, the recovery just from that game will be messed up.
I'll tell you what. Remember Antonio Gates? He played college basketball. He never played it down in college football. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
he tried out for the Chargers, and they took him. I mean, he tried out for the Browns, but they said he wasn't good enough to play.
Yeah, it sounds
So,
like the Browns, but
thank you, Butch Davis.
hey,
Really,
one of the baddest man I ever saw was Ronald Curry, who some people don't remember, but Ronald Curry was Mr. Football and Mr. Basketball in the state of Virginia,
Oh,
like 2 years in a row, and then he played basketball and football at North Carolina, and he had a buddy that did the same thing, Julius Peppers.
oh yeah,
Julius Peppers is a NFL Hall of Famer, and he played
Batman.
basketball and
yeah.
football as
Yes.
well. So it can be done, and I hope these kids are doing what they want to do instead of what somebody else is telling them to do because they could be missing out. But now we've got guys heading on to Indianapolis to try and make a name for themselves. We got the NFL Combine coming up. And it's something that can help some people. It can hurt people. You got people sitting out of things. You got people doing things. We got 11 Buckeyes that are going to be there, who we're going to talk about here in just 1 minute. But as far as the combine goes as a whole, I guess, EJ, I want to ask you, what do you think the combine, what do you think the best part about it is, for the players? Obviously, most of them want to go because they can interview and they can meet teams and they can showcase their athletic ability. But what do you think, when you were coming out, is that something that you wanted to do, is go to that? And is that something that you think helps guys for the most part? What's your feelings on the combine, and what do you think these guys try and get out of it?
Well, I think as a highly big time competitor, you will want to be there because now I've been seeing you like on ESPN. I've been seeing your stats, so now I could like put eyes on you in person, and see like okay how tall you are, how fast you are, what kind of ball skills you really got, and truly like football at the end of the day is still a brotherhood. So like man, these friendships that these guys are able to make for life because they're both chasing their dreams, like we all dream of when you're a pee-wee, like, hey, I want to play professional football. No matter when you get that dream, whether it's a pee-wee or like you're a junior or senior in high school, does not matter. If God gave you the ability to play it, and you're able to do it and do it at a high level, you will want to be around people who you think is like your peers or or whatever, so you could just see what's going on. But I think it's a good chance to guys also see how it's going to be on the next level, right? Like these meetings are very serious. um Look at last year's draft with Shador, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Yeah, we never heard anything bad about Shador ever. And then all of a sudden now we're hearing all this other stuff out of nowhere, That kid has been a model citizen. People might not like the flashiness, but to me, like that's all that's like just really the courage and the confidence that and the belief that he has in himself, right? So when you understand that regardless, like nobody can mess with me. Nobody can get it done like I can. I can. You have that mentality. You have to respect it. So, just tell them just do good interviews, and everybody's always paying attention, and just have fun with them.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. And I like what you're saying there. If you got an agent or if you got a team of people around you, this is what we talked about last show, right? You got to have a group around you helping you out. And they got to tell you, like, man, you got to take this seriously. And if you're going to go to Indianapolis, you got to be ready because that's one of the knocks on Shador was, obviously he had all the athletic ability in the world, but some of them didn't like the way that he interviewed. They said he wasn't really prepared for it, and that's something you got to be ready for. If they want you to draw a play up on the board, you got to know what you're doing, especially at the quarterback position. They take that probably more serious than others. But Sean, what do you think? Looking at the combine before we get into the Buckeyes that are there, what things do you think are most important as far as what they do at the combine? Running, throwing, lifting. What types of things you think the NFL teams kind of value the most?
I think, well, one, I think everybody wants to see the health that they got to go through physicals. So if anybody's got any injuries, they want the doctors to do a full physical workup on them. Two, it's a chance for these coaches to actually talk to these kids and get to know them. The bad thing about this combine is some of these kids just have trainers, and all they do is train these kids all year long on the different drills that they do there. I mean, tape don't lie, guys. So, I mean, if you really want to see what someone can do, I mean, look at their tape. I mean, I think the combine is kind of overblown in some ways because you really can't. I mean, guys are in their underwear running around. I mean, honestly, sometimes you can see with the receiver or DB on how they break and stuff, and you can tell a little bit from the quarterback. But I think it's good for some of the guys that might not be as well known as the other ones, but the higher ones, I think it's not going to hurt them too bad. I mean, Shador did get hurt, but that was a lot of it, not going to not wanting to interview with teams and not taking it serious.
Yeah, man, you can help yourself for sure by going out there and throwing up some serious weight or running a low time on the 40. But it's an equation, right? They look at game tape, they look at your interview, they look at your medical, and then they look at the numbers and go with it. But we got 11 guys here from the Buckeyes that are heading to the combine that have been invited. We got two tight ends in Kazmarek and Max Clare. We got Carnell Tate, Caden Curry, Caden McDonald, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Lorenzo Styles, Caleb Downs, and Iggy, and then CJ Donaldson. And EJ, I guess I'll ask you first. Which one of these guys do you think can help themselves the most by going to the combine and showing off?
Um, I think somebody like Caleb doesn't need to worry about that because even Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles could see that that man is NFL ready. You know what I mean? Reese, you know what I mean? Another one you could throw up there is NFL ready. But anybody else, man, like as long as see, it's different. It's very different from like how it used to be back in the old days until now, right? So representation does play a big factor in this, especially if you get somebody who's like, oh no, you don't gotta do nothing. All right. So you're taking that edge away from that athlete, right? Like maybe deep down they really do want to compete. But now my age is telling me not to do it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just gonna chill. And so it takes away from like what it used to represent back in the day. You knew when these guys were coming to the Columbine, these are the best of the best. Who's running the fast 40? Who's jumping the farthest in the broad jump? Who's jumping the highest in the vertical? All the other drills that come into it, man, you compete. Like in college, we competed. We did those drills in college. We did every single thing in college and everybody was always competing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it's just a crazy thing to see.
Yeah. Who do you think, Sean? Who do you think can help himself?
I think guys like Kazmarek, Max Clare, because I think Max Clare kind of had a kind of underwhelming year. I don't know if Ohio State used him right or if he was the right fit, but I mean, I think he can do it. I think Donaldson would be another one. Some of these guys, I mean, like EJ said, man, Caleb Downs is a no brainer. I mean, Sonny Styles, uh, K Mac. Let's see. I think we'll have 5 first rounders to go. I mean, those guys I think are pretty much locked. Like Carnell Tate, I think he's a first rounder. But some of the guys that maybe like a Lorenzo Styles Jr., he can help himself.
Yeah.
Both the tight ends can help themselves. Iggy definitely could help himself because a lot of those coaches are probably gonna kind of look and see how handsy he really is and really want to get to know get to talk to him and see what his mentality is like and why he was, they're probably gonna ask him why he was grabbing so much because, in NFL, that's a spot foul, man. It's just not 15 yards. So
No, that's definitely true. I think you mentioned Sonny Styles. I think Sonny's a guy that can really up his stock. He obviously had a really good season, and he's a guy that runs a fast time, throws up 225, 25 times, something like that. I think he could jolt his way up the linebacker field a little bit and maybe help him out. I also think Caden Curry's a guy that can help himself. As we've talked about on several of our shows, the quietest 10 plus sacks I've ever heard of in the Big Ten or at Ohio State. This guy waited his turn, goes out there, competes, gets it done, gets 10 plus, 11 sacks in one season, and no one's really even talking about him as far as a prospect goes. So I think those guys can definitely help themselves out and, can improve their stock. EJ, you've been through this before and worked your way through. When what do you do? I guess when you're trying to prepare for one of these interviews with the NFL team, what do you kind of work on, or what can you do? I guess to maybe prepare yourself so that you don't have any snafus.
Um, Honestly, like when you're talking to an NFL team, it comes down to who you are as a person. So they want to see your personality and get to know you. And most importantly, which is the major thing that while we're here, we'll talk about football. See where your football mindset is. See where your football smarts are. So you do a lot of board work. You do a lot of talking about like different type of schemes and stuff like that. Like probably have to go draw some stuff for them, because they just want to see where you at with it, man. So I think the best thing, like these kids need to know, just don't have any pressure, man. Like this, you've been doing this your whole life. This is fun, right? So if you're able to just always remember that, like, yes, this is fun, but also I'm about to get paid a king's ransom to do it. Keep that hungry with it. Oh my goodness, you're gonna be big time successful, and like most importantly, keep the right people in your corner at the end of the day. So, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, no doubt. And Sean, what do you think? These guys, what's one of the, obviously they want to find out who loves football, right? Because
Exactly.
some of these guys play, because they're good and they know they can make millions of dollars. But as EJ knows, the guys that really love it, those are the guys that are going to spend the extra time and get it done. What do you think these teams are looking for out of these Buckeye players? Obviously they know they've played at a high level. They know that they can get it done, but what are they trying to drill down into with this combine stuff? What do they want to find out and uncover? When they're talking to them to find out whether or not they want to draft these particular players or not.
Well, one, I think if anybody has any, if they've had any issues off the field, they're going to find out about you because these these teams are going to do background searches on everybody. They're going to talk to people. I mean, they've even had like GMs will purposely ask you uncomfortable questions to see how you react. I mean, some of the crazy questions that they ask these kids. I mean, these kids, they try to throw you off your game, and they want to see how you're gonna, react to something that's not comfortable. Then they're gonna see if you're honest to them, and they're gonna see what your drive is. Do you really love football? I mean, Justin Gilbert was the first round pick for the Browns, and he had no drive at all, and he was out in the NFL by year two. I mean, he didn't even love football. He was just happy to get drafted, and I mean, they wasted a first round pick on him. He made his money, and he was out of professional football by year three. I mean, I don't even think he made it through his second year all the way. So they don't want. I mean, if you look these GMs, they got a lot of pressure on them. I mean, they got to draft winners because if they make a bust, man, they could end up out the door. You could cost a team, a GM his job or a coach's job. So they take it really seriously, and they're going to see how you take it too.
Yeah, and obviously one of the Buckeyes that's going to be a very, very high draft pick is the linebacker Arvell Reese. He had an incredible year. He showed athleticism, being able to throw back 300-pound, linemen. He had showed coverage skills. He showed the ability, to come off the edge. But he also, some people think is has a high probability, to be a bust. I don't know if I see that, but some people said he disappeared in some games, and I guess EJ, I just want to ask you, what is your feelings about Arvell Reese? Do you think he's worthy of being a top five pick? And are you subscribing to the fact that he disappeared in some games? Because I feel like maybe there's some games he didn't have 20 tackles, but sometimes the action goes the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I feel like he played well throughout the season. I think he's warranted of a pick. But what do you think about Arvell? And do you think he disappeared? And does that concern you?
That doesn't concern me at all because you have to understand, like Ohio State had one of the top defense in the country the whole entire year. That means there's players all around. Um, as a corner, I would know this. Sometimes, like in my history, I didn't have teams like throwing at me. It would be boring. But when they did, I knew I had to capitalize on those opportunities and to let people know, like, no, 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 you don't do that over here, or it's not happening. Mentality. So I think he's going to be a tremendous, tremendous NFL player. This dude, I didn't realize how tall he was.
Yeah.
And when I when I heard how tall both him and Sonny Styles was, I was like, holy crap! Like these dudes 6'5" and moving like this, like gazelles out here.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, sky's the limit. Here, hopefully he gets to the right situation because NFL, that's all it's about. Like a lot of people like have like great careers if they end up in the right situation. Um, look at your boy from the Seahawks, Sam Darnold, right? He got drafted to like a bad organization. He was rolled out for dead,
Yeah.
rolled out for dead,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But then got an opportunity to be a backup because that's all it was. We might need you until the quarterback went down that they just drafted, and now he's thrown in a situation first in the division. You know, had a bad playoff game though. He has to own up to that. That was a bad playoff game. But guess what? That led to the confidence of the Seattle Seahawks. Yo, all right, we'll take him. And look, just won a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, situations matter where you go in the NFL. And I just hope for like all the Buckeyes' sakes, or any great player's sake, right? Because that's the one thing you don't want to see, like we see up in Cleveland right now. I do believe Cleveland will change, but we got a great player, Myers Garrett breaking, setting records, but is on a bad team. We
Mhm.
want to see him in the playoffs,
Yeah.
like going after the quarterback and doing his thing. So, I just hope he just gets to a great situation. But regardless of the factor, he's going to be a problem.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And we mentioned before I mentioned, I thought he had a little bit of Micah Parsons in him with that lean he's got, with his twitchiness, and with the explosion, that Arvell has. I could see him, being possibly a guy that can play in the middle and also, come off the edge. But it does matter, where you go, especially with the quarterback position. Because if you get drafted, I mean, we know how it works in the NFL. If you suck, you get drafted, you draft first, and
Mhm.
it goes backwards. So you get drafted high, you're probably going to go to a bad team. And Sean, I guess I want to ask you, does it really matter for the other positions too? Because, in quarterback, if you get to a bad program with a bad team, with no weapons and no offensive line, your career could be over real fast. Sam Darnold got lucky because he got a second chance, but some of these guys don't get a second chance. What do you think about like McDonald or Caden Curry or one of these guys? Does it matter where they go, or is it just for quarterbacks?
You know what? I think it does matter. I mean, some of the positions might not matter as much, but take Kane Curry for one thing. He's used to playing a 4-3 end, man, having his hand in the dirt. If he goes somewhere that plays a 3-4 and they try to stick him at an outside linebacker, which he never played before. I mean, dropping back into coverage all the time. I mean, that might not work for him. I mean, we saw what happened when Jim Knowles tried to play Jack Sawyer at that jack position, at that linebacker position. He was horrible at it. But as soon as he got to go back to 4-3 with his hand in the dirt, the guy was awesome. Look at running backs. If you don't have a line in front of you, man, I mean, you can get not look so good. Plus, you can take a beating, and I mean, the shelf life for running back in the NFL isn't that long. I mean, some of these receivers, if they don't have a good quarterback to give them the ball, I mean, that could be frustrating for them. And defense, I mean, if they stick you, in the wrong defensive scheme and you're used to playing another scheme, I mean, that could be kind of bad for you too. I mean, a lot of these cornerbacks, EJ will tell you, are really good at zone, but they're not good at man. If you get stuck playing man and you're good at zone, you're going to get exposed. But if you're good at zone, goes the other way too. I mean, Richard Sherman was awesome at zone. I mean, if you'd have been a man cornerback, maybe he wouldn't have had the career he had. So
Yeah,
it does, I think it does matter. So in most cases, offensive line maybe not so much, but
yeah.
a
Well,
lot of these other positions it does.
yeah, especially tight end for me, because if you're a pass catching tight end, if they try and keep you in as a blocker and that's not your strongest skill set, you probably won't see the field much. Or if you are an inline blocker and they try and spread you out, it can definitely hurt you. So it'll be interesting to see how the combine goes for these 11 Buckeyes, and also, how the draft shakes up. but time will tell as to where it goes. I think we'll have at least 5 drafted, like you said, in the first round, which is a huge number. And I guess before we give our final thoughts here on the day, EJ, I want to get your take on Carnell Tate. He's probably going to be another, whether this be the 7th first round draft pick at the wide receiver position out of Ohio State. Have you ever heard of anything like that before? And can you remember another team that had that many players come out of one position?
Ah, my has the game changed since we played football at Ohio State, bro. Um, we played with great like players. Like hell, I came in with Santonio Holmes, and he's a Super Bowl MVP.
Yep.
Yeah,
You know, so like, I wish the game. I wish I would have played in a more of a passing, like like system game like these kids are doing now, because I'm thinking about more picks and more plays I can make.
yeah,
These kids are so blessed to be having that. But no, man, it's unheard of. For real. I think Ohio State receivers. Yeah, we had the Chris Carters, we got the Mike Jenkins, Antonio Holmes, my dude Terry Glenn, late Terry Glenn, David Boston. Oh my goodness! And I'm not even talking about the new age.
yeah.
Joey Galloway.
Joey
Like,
Galloway, Ted Ginn.
yes, both Galloways. You know what I mean? Like, oh my goodness, like it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So no, I think whatever, it's all about where you go, man. Like you have to go into the right situation. I hope he goes into a situation where he has at least a quarterback who's going to get him the ball, because it doesn't matter what kind of receiver you are. Like if you don't have a quarterback to get you the ball, it doesn't mean nothing. Now, look at your boy AJ Brown over in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Like I'm not like, I mean, Jalen Hurts. He's your quarterback who is gonna try to win you the game, but he's not taking chances. He's not throwing the ball right like Josh Allen, Mahomes, those type of guys.
yeah,
So as long as you go into a good situation, oh my goodness, this dude he's gonna be nice in the league, man.
yeah,
He made big time plays, and you got to do that. He doesn't shy away from making a big time catch. In crunch time, you need that, right? Um, and it's great for Ohio State, right? Ohio State is like, we're not just good in one position. We have multiple position of players that came through who have like the abundance full of talent to get the job done. And I just hope him and wish him the very best, man, in his career.
yeah. I do too. And Carnell, if he'd gone anywhere else, this guy'd be the number one wideout, and he'd be probably talked about even more than he is. But what stands out to me with him is that he chose to go to Ohio State, even knowing the guys that were there, and earned his playing time, and then made a name for himself, even though there's an abundance of talent at that position. That stands out to me. That makes me want to go out and draft that guy. That he didn't shy away from competition. He went to a school that had tons of very talented wide receivers, and still was able to stand out and make plays. So that to me shows me that Carnell is a dude that you want to have on your team. So crazy ability, and another huge talent, at the wide receiver position. Before we get out of here, and of course, everybody smash the subscribe and the like button to our new Buckeye Zone podcast. Help us get the word out, and get some listeners on here. And thanks to everybody for tuning in today. Before we get out, let's do a quick final synopsis. Sean, I'll hit you first. What's your final thoughts on our topics for the night and the upcoming draft?
Well, I hope that Indiana fights the NCAA and takes them to court. If they take the natty away from them, I want them to take them to court, sue them. Someone needs to smack them. The NCAA is not, after what they let Michigan get away with. Screw them guys. I think we're gonna get five first rounders. I think it's gonna be a great day for the Buckeyes, and I'm hoping that Carnell Tate is a Cleveland Brown. I'm sorry to put that on you, Carnell Tate, but we need you in Cleveland. So
All right. Hey, what do you think, EJ? What's your final thoughts on the topics for tonight and the upcoming combine?
Oh man, I agree with Sean, man. The NCAA, this is like mafioso type of stuff, and they're just trying to get a payday. There's no way that you could take away a team's hard earned, and they won it on the field. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, they won it on the field. So, but I also agree, we're gonna have a lot of kids drafted. Possibly five in the first round. But regardless, overall, we're still going to have a lot of kids drafted, and that looks good for us, man. And I just wish those kids the very best, because this is a business, and make sure you just got the good representation around you, cut out those bad habits now, because hey, you have a chance to do what a lot of people can't do. There's a lot of people I play with that didn't even get an opportunity to even go there or even make it to the NFL. So, take a full advantage and keep balling.
Yeah, no doubt. Good thoughts, fellas. And yeah, I mean, my thing is, if they were so upset about that him playing and this Lewis Moore playing, why didn't they fight harder and try and fight the injunction, or and keep him off the field? They let him play. They let a lot of these guys play for their 6 year of eligibility. At this point, I think you move on. You cut your losses. I don't think they even really care. They just want, like I said, want to get that appellate win so that they can, institute the rule of the eligibility, and also, like Sean said, get some money so they can pay their lawyers. Because as we know, this building don't pay for itself.
no,
We got to pay by the hour around here. So I know all about charging lawyers cash. But great show. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, EJ, for joining me tonight. I had a great time and enjoyed talking a little football. Even though football's over, it's never really over because we go right into the combine, the Senior Bowl, we go into the draft, and then heck, man, senior camp starts short after that. So thanks to everybody for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week on the Buckeye Zone.
Everybody have a good one.
thanks, Vader. Thanks, Eric.